sometimes you get some other character in the show. Oftentimes you get nothing in the show. But you know, it's worth mentioning that the guy who plays the lead and the guy who comes in to be soldiers A through M, who all have one line where they die horribly, they're still getting paid the same per hour. Yeah, you're just happy to make your living doing this. When it's a lead, that's awesome. And when it's not a lead, you're just thankful they thought of you. I mean, when you go in to do like the incidental characters, what we call them, smaller, like one-off, couple line dudes, you're just glad they thought of you. Because oftentimes it's the sort of thing where it's like, okay, it's a soldier and it's a dude. It could be basically anybody who's a dude. So thank you very much for bringing me in. You know, it's that sort of thing. And even when you are the lead in the show, it's not enough to live off of. Because for whatever reason, anime pays less than anything else VO-wise. It's still a great rate, don't get me wrong, but it's not something you're doing 40 hours a week. Maybe you're doing 4 hours a week, maybe you're doing 4 hours a month. Well, thankfully that I've not been in the 4 hours a month place for a while, but it's something that happens. I mean, the first year I did this, I had a gig, a one. Just one, probably like 6 hours of work. Second year I had 2, third year I had 4, and it grew exponentially like that. It's that whole thing where like, on the first day of the month you get a penny, and on the second day of the month you get 2 pennies, and then 4, and then 8, and then 64, and then by the end of the month you have like, literally a billion pennies. I mean, it's not quite exponential like that, but it is that slow build of people getting to know you. That's not part of your question at all. I've gone off the rails. Let me see them other hands. You! Yes! The work on Tiger Bunny, Tiger Bunny was one of those that they sent out the audition sides. They said the show is on Hulu, so you can check it out and get a feel for it. And I watched a couple episodes to look the characters, and then I just kept watching. Like, I'd already watched enough for the purpose of the auditions. I just wanted to know what was going to happen next. So I'd seen the whole show from top to bottom before I went in for the auditions. I think it helped. I mean, it's not always something we get to do. It's certainly something that's more prevalent these days now that we have the simulcasts and the streaming versions coming up so early, which is nice. It's a fun show. It's a really fun show. It's got a really Western sensibility to it, I think. I mean, superheroes are hot. There's only made like one in the damn world. And I like Youth. He's kind of a goody-goody. He doesn't always catch on first thing, but his heart is definitely in the right place. Sometimes he doesn't catch on to tragic consequences. Episode 15, which I still have not seen the dubbed version of, although I knew, having seen the show, when we came to that episode, the director's like, okay, so this episode, I was like, okay, I know. She's like, oh, okay, then we can get right down to it. Like, also, when I want to say it's Stephanie Shea that's playing Sis, so when I go on it first, so I still have not heard what she sounds like. I've not seen our scenes together. I really want to see that episode and see how it turned out. It's so sad. But I like he's fun. Also, I like pointing out to people that Keith Goodman, his dog named John, means his dog's name is John Goodman. He's got a dog named John Goodman. Think of it. And I like the thanks and thanks again thing. Thanks and thanks again comes in useful a lot. And I am not one to ignore a pun or an eye roll worthy phrase if it comes up. So it's nice having that in my bag of tricks, as it were. As a confess, it was both. Show the wall.
Was there a role that when you went in, you initially thought, I am not the match for this, but then you realized, oh my god, this is so much fun and I am the character?
Yes. Actor brains are weird. We either walk around thinking we should have every character and that we're God's gift, or we're like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm a fraud, man. 14 years in, I should get a different job. But no, everyone just cast me everywhere wrong. The example I try out the most is with Hetalia. Because when I got the audition sides for Hetalia, the pictures of the characters were the chibi versions. And so I'm looking at this, like, these little dudes look like they're 5. Like, I understand the concept of chibi characters. They don't actually have to sound that young, but I've sounded like this since I was like 13. Like, this is not, in no feasible world am I going to get cast as any of these characters. Like, oh, I'm just not good. You can try out. And my girlfriend was like, you know how you like to complain about not getting cast? I'm like, yeah, I really do. She's like, if you don't try out, you don't get to complain about not being cast. I was like, well, I like complaining. Okay, I guess I'll try out. Just so when I don't get cast, I can complain about it. And then I got cast. Which I'm thankful for. The lesson, and I still forget this, because the lesson I take away from that is like, if they give you copy, audition for it. Don't be stupid. But still sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to bother. I did the same damn thing with Black Butler. Because when they sent out the copy, they were just looking for Admi and Soma. They'd already cast everybody else, but they were having sort of a time of it casting the Indian characters. And they're like, do you have an Indian accent? I'm like, not really. I mean, nothing in my... Because there are voices we do a lot, and there are voices we've never done before. And I'm like, but I really don't have anything in my bag of tricks. I haven't done an Indian character before. I'm just going to sound like Apu from The Simpsons. It's going to be racist. But if I don't try it out, I don't get to complain. So I tried out and I got it. I didn't get to complain. Now I complain about not getting to complain. It's very meta. So probably those. I mean, there have been times, and there have been times where I thought I was wrong for it, and then I hear it after the fact. I'm like, oh, yeah, it didn't sound so bad. Did you guys see Red Line?
Yeah. Yes.
That movie, if you've not seen that movie, by the way, guys, whether you see it in English or Japanese, watch it. Yeah, your eyes will have orgasm. It was the last completely hand-animated film out of Japan. It took them 7 years, and if you watch this thing, you'll know why, because at any given frame, there are 18 bajillion things happening on screen. Watch it. It's a feast for the senses, especially your eyes, which have no idea. But when I was in the recording for that, the director, Alice Von David, kept saying, like, raise the voice a little bit, less gravel, a little cleaner, less gravel. And after a while, I just got in my head about it. I'm like, oh man, I don't think I sound right for this. I don't know about this. Then when I saw the final product, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I did. That sounds good. And that's not me being like, yay, it's dope. I beat myself up a lot about my performance. Like, I'm usually one to watch it after the fact and be like, oh, I could have done that line better, different. They could have just recast me. But sometimes when you're in the process, you don't hear it for what it is. And then you watch it and you're like, oh yeah, that worked out. Another thing, sometimes you go out, you try out for a character, you don't get the character, like, oh man, I really wanted that one. And then when you see the final product, you're like, oh dude, yeah, no, so-and-so who got the character, they were supposed to be that character. I would not have done the character justice the way they did. Now sometimes you watch it like, man, so-and-so sucks. But it's usually, I'm finding the case where you watch it like, yeah, that was right. The right person got the role, which is great. Because once the waiter's like, whoa, injustice. They usually don't. We'll do a question over here. I feel like nobody else. Whoa, you're wiggling. You're wiggling. Yeah. And one cat for one Deutschmark? Do I get to keep the cat? Yes. Oh, I'm going to put on my badge. Thank you. Speaking of cats and Deutschmarks and Arby's. Okay, so I live in LA. I record Hetalia down in Texas. When I go down to Texas, I'll spend full days down there because I want to get the stuff done and, go home and work on stuff there. So instead of having like a 2-hour session or a 4-hour session, I'll be there all day. And depending on what else is going on, sometimes it'll be like a full 8-10 hours of Hetalia. So you get a little loopy, a little punch drunk. Especially, when you feel comfortable with the engineer, you feel comfortable with the director. So yes, I said all those things. I didn't know that they were being kept. I don't regret them. It's just, you say stupid stuff, you mess up a line, you're feeling giggly, and you say stuff like that. And then one day, someone's like, hey, have you seen the thing on the internet, the outtakes? Have you seen the outtakes from Franky and White? I'm like, no. Why should I? Okay, I'll watch it. And I watched it, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Some of those things I'd forgotten I had said because just you're in there, you mess up, you say an outtake, you do the line right, you move on to the next one. Like I hadn't been sitting there thinking to myself like, oh man, my Twitch marks are these things. It was comedy gold. Like I just sort of forgot about it. And then suddenly there it was. I was like, wow, wow. And I do have to say for the record, like me cracking up every time Japan says a line was not fake. That's a real thing. Yeah. Chris Bevins as Japan, those L's and those R's. I cannot. And I know he's gonna do it. Like it's a thing. It's not out of nowhere. It's not a left field. Like oh, he's suddenly transposing the L's and R's. Oh, like he does it all the time. And still I'm there just cracking up. Oh man, those outtakes. They light up their own. Now people want me to quote them. It's become its own thing. It's very meta. Another question over here.
Which Franky do you like more, appearance-wise? Old Franky or new Franky?
Well, I'm more used to old Franky. I mean, that's what I've seen more of. But I'll tell you, I like Franky in all his incarnations. Which sounds like a cop-out, but I guess it speaks to the strength of the character design in One Piece. I mean, I've got a couple Franky figures. I've got like regular Franky. I've got, Franky with the pink afro, because pink afro. I'm a voice actor, I'm narcissistic, I'm mostly just collecting figures of my own characters, because actor. But if I collected figures just in general, One Piece would bankrupt me. Because all the characters look different. I mean, you look at some shows, you're like, okay, the only thing different about these characters is the heads, basically, because it's a show grounded in realism. Then you look at One Piece and you're like, everybody looks different and they look awesome and amazing and it's a show about pirates. What more could you want out of your life? I might say it later. I might say super later. My brain is still like, it's 9 in the morning in my brain. Well, now it's 11 in the morning in my brain. But when I woke up, it was like 6 in the morning in my brain because I'm still in California time. I've got to say, how many of you guys were at opening ceremonies? A couple?
Right.
Okay, I'm used to like opening ceremonies being like at 4 or 5 on the Friday, and a couple people roll in, like, oh yeah, opening ceremonies. So to be there first thing in the morning, more or less, in my brain, having to be full of people all like hype and ready to go was impressive and a little disorienting. I was not ready for that. But no, I do love One Piece. And actually, One Piece, I mentioned, this is dry. I feel like Franky's my entire anime career in a single character. He's a cyborg with Popeye arms and tattoos, a blue pompadour, and a metal nose whose stomach is a refrigerator that cola goes into because he runs off of it with a Hawaiian shirt. Like, that's a lot of anime. That's a lot of anime all in one place. I do love One Piece. And One Piece was when I tried out for that like years ago. How that came together was like 7 years ago. God, long time ago. I was down there. One of the first times I'd gone down to Texas, I was doing a one-off character in Yoshishi. And Mike McFarlane said, hey, we got these characters coming up in One Piece for the game, for Unlimited Adventure for the Wii. They're not going to show up in the show for a while, but we got to do them in the game, so you can audition for them if you want. If you get cast, you got to come right back. I'm like, okay. So I auditioned, and I got one, and I came right back. I was like, okay. I didn't spend a couple hours recording on that. And then it was 7 years or 6 years before we did the stuff for the show. Because at that point, I didn't realize at least that they were going to go back and start, episode 1 and redub all that. So for all, I was like, is it time yet? Is it time for Franky? It's been like 2 months, how about now? After, and he was always very nice, like, not quite yet. Not yet. After all, like, I'm not gonna ask so much because I think it's hundreds of episodes away. But then they finally got to it, I was like, yay! So, yes. just to mix things up. Do-do-do-do.
Favorite sandwich?
Favorite sandwich? That's a you know, I don't know if I can pick an all-time favorite sandwich, but I will say that recently I've been eating a lot of grilled cheese sandwiches. Because I recently moved, and there's a place near me that has like old school grilled cheese sandwiches. They've got like fancy schmancy like mozzarella with like tomato basil sandwiches. Yeah, I do like. But then tuna melts are good too. But then I'm a tuna melt slob. I go some places and I'm like, I wouldn't feed my dog this tuna melt. Give me that. I'm not done yet. I don't know. I like sandwiches. I like the simple things. Sometimes I go to like fancy places. Usually not of my own accord. Like someone will be going out or I'm gonna come. Like, we're gonna take you to a fancy restaurant. I'm like, this is wasted on me, guys. Like, thank you, but I am not a foodie. I'm just not. Straw hat.
Okay. First answer that answered this question. So I was watching Legend of the Legendary Heroes and I reached the point where this pink-haired king of the country came in and I was like, huh, Mr. He looks like he gets the voice of Ernie and then you spoke and it was so I
Future seeing powers.
And my question is, who would win the fight? Franky, Reval, or
Franky. Dude, I mean, not to. Dude can turn into a reverse centaur.
Yeah.
Reverse centaur. Think on that for a while. Reverse centaur. The first time I saw that, I'm like, you've got to be kidding. His legs went in front of his body. I'm like, that's not how. Okay, One Piece. Yes. I love that Franky like falls on his back and he's like, okay, I'm indestructible now. Because the only spot you can hurt me is my back, and I'm just falling onto it. So as soon as you guys walk over here and fight me, you're going down. Oh, One Piece. And I got something for One Piece. It's the same thing. Going down there for the long days, and you'd have just saying things over and over again. For the Water 7 arc, it was just over and over. It'd be like, even if Fukuro wasn't around, he'd be like, that fight went on forever. I was so glad because I was like, oh, Alexis and her child. I remember once I finally got to I screen cap the shot after the fight. And he wins, and I just wrote, owned. Posted on our Twitter or Facebook or something. One Piece. Yeah. That's a show where I'd like to watch all of it and get caught up, but I have no idea in what universe that would be possible. I'd have to go to Narnia, where time just moves at a different rate. Like go to Narnia, watch all of One Piece up until now, come back to the real world. It's like 2 minutes later. Go away. I'm upset. They had that thing where the guy at Funimation was watching all of One Piece in honor of it starting up on TV. He was going to watch all of it from episode 1 up through where they were starting with the broadcast, and he started losing his mind. Like he would just watch 10 hours a day of One Piece. And then go to bed, and then wake up and do it again. And I think eventually they cut it short because there were storms down there and they lost the power, and I think they just looked at that as a sign from God that maybe they should stop. They're completely freaked out, but it's a lot of One Piece. That said, I know that Ian Sinclair, who voices Brooke, did that and did not lose his mind, or at least lost it in a way that doesn't, manifest itself outwardly. So it can be done. It can.
Besides Franky, though, who is your favorite character in One Piece?
So far, and again I say this having not been seeing all of it up until now, but just as far as watching people and what they do with their performances, I would probably say, well, it's a split answer. The stuff I was doing, especially early on, was a lot with Usopp, and I just have to take my hat off to Sunny Straight's internal fortitude. Because everyone else is like, he's like, all he does in One Piece is just scream.
Yeah.
All the damn time, and it's hilarious. I mean, that's the sort of thing that could very easily become one note in the hands of a less adroit actor, because it's all just big, you know what I mean? Like, it's start tuning it out. But he freaks out in the most hilarious, entertaining of ways. So hats off to him for that. And Brooke is the same thing so far from what I've seen. I mean, everyone else is like, oh no, and he's like, no, a skull joke, no. So, but everybody in that show, I mean, it's tough coming into a show hundreds of episodes in where everyone else has their character just like down, and you're like, probably those two, but again, everybody. I mean, sometimes I'll be hearing Luffy's lines in English and I'll be like, how is that, how does she, like if that's the only voice she did, I would still be impressed at what she does with it, but the fact that she's doing all these other voices, I'm like, Colleen, are you a wizard? Like, I can't get my eyes to do that thing, but it's a fair question. Because then you watch something like Wolf Children, it's like, I'm crying because of your lines. But sometimes when you're not a mom with wolf children, you're Luffy. Who here saw Wolf Children? Okay, keep your hands up. People saw Wolf Children. People who cried. Those who put your hands down, you're liars. It's okay. It's okay. You can lie, but you're lying liars. I got to adapt the script for that movie, which was a tear fest, for those of you who've seen it, because in the beginning of the movie, there's not a lot of dialogue. And there's certain characters you only get at the beginning of the movie, so I'm like, okay, gotta make it count, gotta make it count. Everyone's gotta be perfect, gotta make it count. And I'm crying again. Oh, gotta be crying. Because when I'm adapting the movie, I'm watching it line by line on repeat. So I'm like, yeah, that line was okay. We didn't watch it. Okay. I got it to need a word. Okay. Oh wait, I've got a good alternate line right there in case they want to bet something. Okay, on to line 2. And then the middle of the movie's okay, and then the end of the movie's tear fest again. There was one of I heard the mom's last line of the movie. Those of you who have seen it, I had like 6 different variations of that line, depending on what they wanted to do with it. And all of them made me weep. That's a fun job. You're just like, I'm crying in front of me. I'm here all day. But that's what you have to do. I mean, to adapt the scripts and do them justice, you basically have to play all the characters and feel everything they're feeling to make it sound right. I mean, you guys have heard shows with good dubs. You guys have heard shows realized so they basically took the translation and added a couple extra words to fit flat. Like, there's a difference. You guys hear it. Words are important. Just a bee that gets in my mind sometimes. Because sometimes scripts are like, oh yeah, the actors will make it sound good. So yeah, the actors will make it sound good, but if you give them good scripts, you're setting them up for success. It's not, just throw words at them and they'll figure it out. Personal opinion, I'm sorry. Okay, you with the garland.
I have something for you also.
What is this? This is a new trend. I'm not complaining, but... Whoa! You sunk my battleship. No, it's okay. That's awesome. Did you know that I loved Matsunaga?
Yeah, from your episode commentary, you like keep me on about his computer.
Let me. Who here saw Sengoku Basara? Yes. You got Motochika.
I have one of Chico on my
Damn sweet. Let me see. Dude.
Yeah.
He's also a pirate. in that sort of awesome, historically inaccurate Sengoku Basara kind of way. And then Matsunaga. Okay, so Matsunaga. Thank you so much. I get to keep this?
Yeah.
I get to keep this?
Yeah. I have a quick story.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, I drew Chris Casey a picture and actually tweeted it.
Chris Casey.
There's Honda who wrote his lack of math guy called shenanigans on this, and I died.
You died a little bit. I've never seen him without the mask. I don't think he'd go out with his face being shown. I have to mention, I love Chris Casey, but I feel bad because every time I encounter him, I start talking in the Chris Casey voice. Like, as I'm talking to him. And I have to tell him, I'm not making fun of you, Chris Casey. I just love the way you speak, so I'm just gonna make this sound. I love him, so it's this show, Sengoku Basara. If you guys are looking for a show and you haven't seen it, watch it. It is fun, it is not subtle. You You have Chris Ayers and John Bosch punching each other and screaming at each other. You have a thing in the extra episode that I like to call the Manstravaganza. It wasn't called Manstravaganza in the translation, but it's like this man fighting macho festival. And I was like, this damn thing is gonna be the Manstravaganza. So I put it in the dub as a Manstravaganza, and then when Bevan's dubbing, like, did you with Manstravaganza? Did you? So then he used Manstravaganza, right? He's like, yeah. The Manstravaganza. I forget how many times they say that in that episode. Usually I'm not one to have people repeat words, but you best believe I had them use Manstravaganza! As awesome as was, as reasonable. Yeah, no, thank you for this. Matsunaga, the other character in this picture, is evil in that smart, sort of understated kind of way where he gets other people to do his dirty work. And he was a lot of fun to write for because his wording was very sort of elegant and reserved. Everyone else is fighting and screaming and swinging their oversized weapons, and he's just like, I'm going to play you all like a chessboard. Fun times. Thank you so much for that. Oh, I got fan art. And one cat from one Deutschmark. And then I lost it. Oh, there's hands in the back. Blonde. Yes. Oh man. Question being favorite lines for Garrosh Hellscream from WoW. Yes. I'll do one or two of them. Maybe one of them. Anyway, Garrosh, I love Garrosh, which is good because his sessions destroy my throat. I think the longest I ever did the voice was one time. This stuff had to get done right away, just the way the deadlines fell. They needed it like yesterday, so we did like a 5-hour session of that voice. And by 5 hours of that voice, I mean, this is the voice for 5 hours. So, yeah. We were trying to get all done that day, and then at 5 hours, they're like, we have like half an hour left, but you might die. Let's bring you back and finish up the rest of it. I'm like, thank you, okay, bye. I think one of my favorites currently is from the 5.4 patch trailer, where he does the whole like, they are no longer a part of my horde! That trailer, who here has seen the 5.4 trailer? Okay. I've always been amazed. Even back then, before I was voice acting, when I was just experiencing video games on the gaming end of things, I would watch the trailers that Blizzard would put out, and I'm like, what wizardry is this? How do things look this good? Or like in 1999 or 2000 or 2001, we're watching a trailer, it looks good. Like, let me tell you how it used to be for those of you that are young. The graphics used to bite. But you know, they've always looked good. So now to have stuff like the 5.4 trailer, where that trailer is all machine, it's all in-game mechanics. That's not pre-rendered voodoo. That's the game itself made graphics look this good. It's kind of amazing. And for that one too, it's cool because they brought the both of us in, and we spent a long time before we were even recording, just improvising and talking it out and being able to have that like face-to-face conflict. Because usually when we record stuff, it's just the one person. But for this trailer, they decided bring us both in so we can play off of each other. I think it really helped. That final trailer is badass. Every time I watch that, I'm like, man, I wish I still played WoW. Because if I did, I would be so ready to go and kick some ass. But I need games that end. It's bad. I'm playing Diablo 3 right now. It doesn't end. I keep clicking. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So probably that. I mean, well, I don't want to say every line of Garrosh's, but things like that, those short, soundbite, badass kind of lines are the sort of the moneymakers, so to speak. God, it's fun. I got a figure of him when they finally put out the WoW figure of him. It was very badass. Very badass. Yes?
What would you like to look at Blizzard, and do you think you're going to continue with WOD?
I mean, hopefully. I mean, I never know what's going on until they call me and I go in, and Blizzard has been so so very good to me that the way I look at it is, you know, if we got to the point where they were like, we're done with you for a while, you know, we've used you as much as we dare, or this is happening with the character, and you know, it's over. Like, okay, fair enough, good run. Yeah, it's. I am exceedingly grateful to the opportunities I've gotten to do that. Also because I was playing Diablo back in the day. You know, I was playing these games, and that's the thing. Because people ask, what do you like doing better, anime or video games? For the most part, anime you get to spend more time with the character, you get more of a story arc. And games, a lot of times, especially with a small character, you go in one time, you do the lines, boom, 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 boom. They're not even in sequential order with other people's lines. Maybe it's just your lines. And so it's a little disconnected. So to have something like Gash, where you get to spend some time with it, is really nice. Because it's not always an experience you get with a game. Sometimes it's just, you go in, you do it, you're done. So whatever ends up happening with him, I'm okay with it, because, man, it's just so, he's not subtle at all. Like, let's, glove.
Glove. Yes, yes.
Yes. Is there a way I could do it immediately after the panel? I figure my plan, how am I doing time-wise, speaking of? I don't even know. 250? Oh, balls, I'll go into lightning round then. My plan, since I only do have the one autograph panel this whole weekend, is immediately after this, I'm gonna get out of the room so whatever's next can get in here and get going, but I'll go out there, and if people want stuff signed, I'll try to accommodate everybody I can, just because I don't want you guys to miss the opportunity. So I'll do that immediately after, if that's okay. Lightning round. Well, it's a very niche title. It's a JRPG, which is already niche, and then it's a JRPG about, you know, a composer who's dying of tuberculosis, goes to a magical land, which is sort of niche within a niche. That was a lot of fun, and that was a really neat for me. I didn't really get parts like that ever. And that was, again, another case of they showed me the character art, and I thought, no, he looks like he's 7. I'm not going to voice him. Now, granted, my voice was not as deep then as it is now. It's something worth pointing out. Years and years and years and years and years and years and years of yelling, we sound different than we used to. I've had a couple of different, especially guy friends of mine, be like, yeah, listen to this thing I did a couple of years ago, and yeah, higher voice. Although it works, because if they're hiring me for low and gravel, just more low and gravel. Somebody won't even be able to hear my voice. It'll just be like an earthquake from gravel. Be like, why is he talking into the floor? Like earthquakes for you. Yes. You're standing there being like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Yes, you seem so surprised.
I'm just throwing it out here. What is one character you had an insane amount of fun voicing?
Insane amount of fun voicing. So many of them. Frankie's fun. Lox from Fairy Tale is fun.
Yeah.
Sloth was fun because he was like, what a bugger. And then he moved really fast, and I was like, oh, that's ironic. Fatima from Magi was evil and campy and fun. Didn't know we do that. Most of them, I mean, here's the thing about being a character actor. You get to have more fun.
Yeah.
Broadly speaking, because you get to be the villains and the kooky ones, and yeah, heroes are fun and all, and they talk a lot, but usually the heroes are reacting to whatever the villain is doing, so they themselves aren't always fleshed out as well as the villains. You know what I mean? Like, the villain has to have a reason for what they're doing, or else people call shenanigans. The hero just has to be opposing the villain, so sometimes they get short shrift in the character development department. Not all the time, but it does happen sometimes. Let's put that out there. I've been very lucky. I mean, you go in, you do the work, and it's not always something you love, but for me, it generally is. And even when it's not, you're still getting paid. So, my mortgage likes that. I'm just saying. Blue, teal, turquoise. Yes, you're. Wait, you then where's you? Hair. That's a half. That's hair. It's weird. You know what I mean?
So what was your opinion of playing Arthas?
My opinion of playing Arthas.
And what were some of your favorite lines?
Oh man. Here's the thing about Arthas. That was my first experience getting internet hate, because a lot of people were like, we like the original Arthas, you're a hack, what have you done? You bastardized the character. You deserve nothing but death. Which I think was partially people with the nostalgia goggles, because like I played this game when I was 7 and everything's perfect. Somebody put together on YouTube a video of the legacy lines, the lines that OG Arthas and I both said, and they put them side by side because they wanted to highlight what a horrible job I had done. But when I played the video, like listening to it, I'm like, it was pretty damn close. Like, they put it together to make me feel bad and be like, he's so horrible. But then when I watch him, like, too shabby. Thanks, internet trolls. You made me feel better. That's totally not what you were aiming for. I like it. I mean, a lot, especially the ones where he's talking to Uther, which I will, if I try to quote a word for all mess up. But you know the one, the power of Great Skull. You're fired. Yes, that's a Uther. By the power of Grey Skull, you're fired. That should be in my head now. That's the line. If anyone tries to make me say it legit, I'll just make a hash of it. Yeah, no, and that was the case actually of I got the call going, okay, so we're having auditions tomorrow. It's you and one other guy. You can audition to voice match Arthas. It has to be tomorrow. And I'm like, but I'm going to a con. I gotta. That's something worth pointing out. The minute I leave town or go to a con or do any like fun tech traveling, suddenly I'm the hottest commodity in the VO world. And this one's true for most people. The minute you are out of town and can't get back, there is some awesome job that is tomorrow only. And you're like, oh God, no. So a lot of times there's something happening. Is that it? Well, I'll just take questions. You know what? Tell me when I rap. So I rap. I'm not going to be like, in conclusion, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be like a school essay where I just resale the crap I already said. I'll take questions up the very end. Blue hat, your blue hat.
Yeah. Is voice acting your main job, or do you have like a day job, or?
I've not had a day job now for 6, 7, 8 years. Oh my God, I've been lucky. But worth pointing out, I do the voice acting and the script adapting and the video directing sometimes. So between those 3 things, I've been able to just focus on this. But if I were just doing VO, it would be tough. The last couple of years would be okay, but some years would be great, other years would be like great. And that's the tough thing about what we do. You can have a great month. You can have a month where you are just man of the hour, and the next month it's like, soul. Maybe I'll play Infinity Blade 3 on my phone for 8 hours straight. Ain't doing nothing else on the phone. Who's calling with work? It's weird. I like the freedom of what I do. I fear the inconsistency, but I mean it is what it is. I've been lucky lately. That could change at any moment. But as is true in life, the more things you do, the more chance someone will pay you to do one of them at any given time. Yes, the hand. That doesn't help. Yeah.
Being on Hetalia, there was such a large cast.
Yes.
Did you meet anybody the first time, or like become friends with the other actors?
There were definitely people I didn't know before doing that process. And I feel, it's hard to be going down for that and going down for other stuff. So it's hard to think in my mind of like, okay, these are people that I specifically met doing Hetalia. But I mean, I've definitely become better friends over the years with a lot of those guys. So I'm sure just being around has helped. Because that's the thing too, you go down to do Hetalia and they're like, oh, hey, you got a couple hours, be this other character and this other thing. And then Hetalia ends for the time being. You're like, oh, well, you're coming down for this other character. Why don't you read for this character? So being around helps. It sort of perpetuates work. And once they know you're willing to travel, that's right. If you want to be voice over actor, you want to do video games, you gotta basically go to LA. If you want to do anime, you gotta be in LA or Texas or a little bit of New York. And you can do VO wherever, but if you want to do anime video games, you got some people to work with, because they will do ISDN patches for, you know, Hugh Jackman and Wolverine video game, but not for your ass. Not even for my ass. That's celebrity. In the back of the hand.
When you do voice acting for a video game, when you're just screaming into the microphone, how strange is it?
Oh my god, I've got a great story that I'll translate into the So I went in on this thing called Red Faction. It's awesome. You're on Mars, you're gonna
Yes.
knock down buildings. It's very cathartic. It's highly recommended. Gorilla was the fun one. The one after that, not so much. So I went in to record on that, just random soldier incidental stuff. And the guy directing was Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers of Rocky fame, Apollo Creed Carl Weathers. He was like even taller than me. I was like, hi, Mr. Carl Weathers. And so I'd go in there and I'd be like, okay, death by fire, death by car, death by explosion. You're on fire and you get run over by a car, crushed by a wall, death by a black hole, death by all the deaths. You're screaming, you're screaming, you're screaming. And he'd always be like, okay, man, now you gotta hit me with it. Give me another take, but hit me with it. I'm like, I was like, no, man, it's most of that. You gotta hit me with it. I'm like, So after like 45 minutes, I'm in pain because your body is screaming, the muscles clenching. I'm in pain, I'm drenched with sweat, I have no voice. I stumble out of the booze like, all right, man, all right, good job. You really hit me with it. Mr. Carl Weathers. But, you know, on stuff like that, you can blow out your voice very quickly. Here's the thing: we're trained, we know how to use our voices. We're not indestructible. It just means we have a longer span before our voices crap out. You should play Red Faction every day. Make my sacrifice worth it. Right? I swear. That wasn't even English. So, panel's over. I'm gonna go outside. I'll sign stuff. I'll do whatever you want. Thank you so much for coming, you guys.